He was born a slave, owned, controlled, beaten, and yet he taught one of the most radical ideas about freedom ever recorded. Not political freedom, not financial freedom. Something far more unsettling. Epictetus said this: "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Enchiridion, if that's true. Then the thing you blame for your anxiety, your job, your past, your relationships, your circumstances may not be the real cause at all, which means something uncomfortable. It means you might be participating in your own suffering. And if that's true, then freedom isn't about changing your life. It's about changing what you think your life means. That's the idea. And once you see it clearly, it's very hard to go back. Let's name the problem. This solves you feel trapped, not necessarily physically, but mentally. Your mind loops. You replay conversations. You anticipate problems that haven't happened yet. You feel stuck in situations you didn't choose. And the worst part, even when nothing is wrong, your mind finds something to worry about. You try to fix it by changing external things, a better job, more money, more control. But the relief never lasts, because the problem isn't out there. It's how you relate to what's out there. That's where Epictetus begins. Epictetus lived in the 1st century AD. He was born into slavery in the Roman Empire and served a master in Rome. We don't have records of his early life in detail, but sources suggest he was physically abused. At some point, his leg was permanently damaged, some say deliberately. Eventually, he was freed. But here's what makes him different. He didn't spend his life trying to reclaim dignity from the outside world. He rebuilt it internally. He studied philosophy, eventually teaching Stoicism in Greece. His students wrote down his teachings, which became the Enchiridion and the Discourses. And unlike many philosophers, he didn't speak from comfort. He spoke from constraint, from limitation, from powerlessness, from lived experience, which is why his definition of freedom cuts deeper. Because if a former slave says you're not truly free, you probably want to listen. Let's get into the core of what he taught. 3 ideas. Simple on the surface. Disturbing when you really understand them. Part 1. The first idea is about control. Epictetus writes, "Some things are up to us and some things are not up to us." Enchiridion, that's it. 2 categories. Things you control, things you don't. But we don't live like that. We act as if everything should be under our control. Other people's opinions, outcomes, timing, success. And when those don't go the way we want, we feel frustrated, anxious, or defeated because we've mentally placed them in the wrong category. Epictetus would say, you're trying to control what was never yours to control, and that's the source of your distress. Let's make this real. You send an important message, a job application, a text to someone you care about, a proposal. Now you wait and your mind starts spinning. Did I say the wrong thing? What if they ignore me? What if this ruins everything? But pause. What part of this situation is actually yours? You controlled writing the message. You controlled sending it, everything after that? Not yours. Their response, their mood, their priorities, not yours. But your mind treats it as if it is. That mismatch creates anxiety. The practical application is brutally simple. Every time you feel stress, ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. Not ignore, not suppress. Release because holding on to it doesn't give you control, it just gives you tension. Freedom, in this sense, is clarity. Knowing what belongs to you and refusing to carry what doesn't. Part 2. The second idea is harder. Epictetus writes, men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of things. Enchiridion, this is where it gets uncomfortable because it shifts responsibility inward, not blame. Responsibility, let's unpack it. Something happens. You lose an opportunity. Someone criticizes you. Plans fall apart. You feel bad. We assume the event caused the feeling. Epictetus says, no, there's a step in between. Interpretation, your mind assigns meaning. This is terrible. This proves I'm not good enough. This always happens to me. And that meaning creates the emotion, which
means change the interpretation.
And you change the emotional outcome. Not instantly, not perfectly, but fundamentally. Here's a modern example. Two people get the same feedback at work. This needs improvement, person. One thinks, I'm failing, I'm not cut out for this. They feel anxious, defensive, stuck. Person two thinks, good, this shows me where to improve. They feel focused, engaged, motivated. Same event, different interpretation, different emotional reality. The practical application here is awareness. Catch the story your mind is telling, not the event, the story. When something bothers you, ask, what?
Am I telling myself this means? Then question it. Is it true? Is it useful? Is there another way to see this?
You don't need to force positivity. That's not Stoicism. You just need to loosen your grip on the first interpretation your mind offers, because that interpretation is often the thing hurting you, not the event itself. Part 3. The third idea is the most confronting. Epictetus writes, never say of anything, I have lost it, but I have returned it. Enchiridion returned it. Not lost, returned. He gives examples. Your child dies.
They were returned. Your spouse leaves, returned. Your possessions disappear, returned. At first, this feels cold, detached, even harsh. But look closer. He's not saying these things don't matter. He's saying you never owned them in the way you
thought you did. Everything you have, people, status, health, time, is on loan, temporary, unstable. And the pain we feel isn't just from losing things, it's from believing they were permanently ours. That belief sets us up for suffering. Because
reality will always break it.
Let's bring this into a modern context. You build a career, years of effort, identity, progress, then something changes, layoff, industry shift, burnout. It feels like everything has been taken from you, but Epictetus would reframe it. You didn't lose it, you had it for a time, now it's gone. And the suffering comes from resisting that reality, clinging to the idea that it should still be yours. The practical application is subtle. Practice temporary thinking. When something good happens, instead
of thinking, this is mine, try, this is here for now.
Not to reduce joy, but to deepen appreciation. Because when you stop assuming permanence, you become less fragile when change comes and more present while things are here. That's a different kind of freedom. Not freedom from loss, freedom from being shattered by it. Now let's connect this to modern psychology, because what Epictetus taught is surprisingly aligned with what we now call cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT is built on a simple model: thoughts, emotions, behaviors. It says that your emotional reactions are largely shaped by your thoughts about events, not the events themselves. That's essentially Epictetus. Word for word. When CBT helps someone manage anxiety, it often involves identifying distorted thinking patterns, catastrophizing, black and white thinking, personalization, then challenging them, replacing them with more balanced interpretations. That's the same move Epictetus is making. He's training you to step back from your automatic judgments, to see them as interpretations, not facts. There's also something in behavioral science called the locus of control. People with an internal locus believe they can influence their experience through their actions and mindset. People with an external locus feel controlled by outside forces. Epictetus pushes you strongly toward the internal side, but with precision. Not everything is internal, only certain things are. Your thoughts, your choices, your responses. And when you focus your energy there, you feel more stable, less reactive, less dependent on external conditions. There's also a concept called cognitive diffusion in acceptance and commitment therapy. It teaches you to see thoughts as mental events, not truths. Instead of saying, I'm
a failure, you learn to say, I'm having the thought that I'm a failure. That small shift creates distance, and that distance reduces emotional intensity. Again, this is Epictetus. He's asking you to separate the event from your judgment of it to create space, because in that space,
you regain choice, so while the language has changed, the mechanism hasn't. Ancient Stoicism and modern psychology are pointing to the same insight. Your mind is not just reacting to reality, it's interpreting it, and those interpretations are flexible, trainable, which means your experience of life is more adjustable than it feels. Let's make this practical. Here's a simple exercise you can try this week. It takes 5 minutes, but if you do it consistently, it changes how you think. At the end of each day, write down one moment that disturbed you. Just one, then divide a page into 3 parts. Column 1, the event. Describe it factually. No interpretation. For example, my manager said my report needs revision. Column 2, your interpretation. What did you tell yourself it meant? This means I'm not good enough. This is a problem. They're disappointed in me. Column 3, a different view, not a fake positive spin, just a more balanced interpretation. This is feedback and this can help me improve. This doesn't define my ability. That's it. 3 columns, event, interpretation, alternative, do this daily. What you'll start to notice is this: your first interpretation feels automatic, but it's not the only one available. And once you see that clearly, you gain leverage. You're no longer fully at the mercy of your initial reaction. You have options. That's the beginning of internal freedom. Not controlling everything, but not being controlled by everything either. So where does this leave us? Epictetus didn't promise comfort. He didn't say life would become easy. He said something more challenging, that freedom is internal and that most people never experience it because they keep looking in the wrong place. If you want to go deeper into his thinking, the best place to start is the Enchiridion. It's short, direct, uncompromising. You won't find long arguments, just clear instructions, sometimes harsh, often uncomfortable, but precise. And if you read it slowly, you'll start to notice something. The things that disturb you aren't as fixed as they seem, and the control you thought you didn't have might already be there, just waiting to be used. If this made you think, not just agree, but actually pause, then you're already practicing what he taught, and that's enough for today.